Hey everybody, I am a woman, I am a Hoosier, and I am voting tomorrow for Donald Trump. Here's why. Um, I wrote my first blog post on March 25th of 2003, and since that time I have been urging everyone to go to a website called opensecrets.org where you can track politicians, the special interest money, and the lobby money that goes into their pockets in DC. And with that information from opensecrets.org, you can then go over to a website called votesmart.org and you can see how these politicians are voting. And between the two sites, you can get a pretty good idea of who's buying who and what politicians are sponsored by what organizations and special interest groups. If you go and you look at that and you know that the average senator makes about $175,000 a year, and then you realize that these politicians are multimillionaires, you have to wonder where the money comes from. And opensecrets.org gives you a pretty good idea of where that money goes. I've wanted politicians to actually represent the people that vote them into those positions for so long. And here we are on the eve of an election that could give us that. For the first time, we can look and put a president in office that is not bought and paid for by special interest and lobby money. We can make a change. We can, I mean, if we vote for one of the other candidates, then we're going to get more of the same. Donald Trump is the only one that is different from every other choice that we've had. And why wouldn't you want that? On April the 20th, I was supposed to go to the state fairgrounds to see Donald Trump. And I had said previous to that there was only one person on the planet that could keep me from going to see Donald Trump, and that was my first granddaughter. Her name is Kinley, and she was born on April the 20th. So I was busy welcoming my first granddaughter into this world. And as she came into this world, I realized that I want this world to be a safe and a better place for her. I want her to grow up to have opportunities that maybe I don't have or that my kids don't have right now. I want them to grow into the opportunities that we used to have under the Democrats of my grandfather. Back when I've always voted Democrat my entire life, or adult life, that is. But the older I got, the more I realized that the Democrats have made a shift. They have become a party that enables people to stay weak and poor and armed with excuses. And they keep giving them this government money that does nothing but enables them to stay down and to stay poor. But they allow them to keep producing children that they can't afford. And they're raising these children on the backs of the taxpayers. So what ultimately happens is the Democrats are growing their voter base for generations to come. So if we don't get a true conservative in office this time, we may never get the opportunity again. I want to see that happen. I want to see Donald Trump get in office. I want that wall built. I want this country to be safe again. I want my granddaughter and my grandson that's due in August and my other grandchild that's due in October to grow up with opportunities that they might not have otherwise. And they certainly won't have them under Hillary or Bernie. And as far as Ted Cruz goes, I have watched the debates from debate 1. And Ted Cruz is a chameleon. He does nothing but change his game, his pattern, and him coming into Indiana was solid proof of that. He goes to the Knightstown gym, which is right here in my hometown, not even a mile away. And in that gymnasium, he tries to appeal to the basketball fans of Indiana, tries to come out with this Hoosier hysteria, and he makes reference to a basketball ring. That to me, yeah, it might seem petty to some people, but that to me showed that he was trying to embrace or trying to get the Hoosier basketball fans to embrace him on the eve of a night when Bobby Knight was going to endorse Donald Trump. His reference fell on deaf ears and became a mockery of, all over the internet, with good cause. You don't go into a state and pretend to be something you're not. Ted Cruz was pretending to be a basketball fan, and he fell flat. He has done the same thing repeatedly since he began with these debates. If you watch the debate, I've recorded all the debates and I've gone back over them, and from the beginning, he had his platform in the beginning, and when he saw what was working for Donald Trump, and when he saw what was working for John Kasich or Jeb Bush or Marco Rubio, when he saw what was working for each of those candidates, he tweaked and modified his position in each one. Depending on what state he goes into, he tweaked and he modified. Ted Cruz is a chameleon. Carly Fiorina, she's lost a ton of jobs. Why would Indiana want that? Why would Indiana want somebody like Carly Fiorina, who is an executive, like the very people at Carrier that are sending our jobs out of this country? My husband lost his job to Mexico. My sons work at a factory where their jobs are always at risk because our manufacturing jobs are going out of this country. And that's all thanks to Hillary Clinton's husband, Bill. Thanks to NAFTA, it was said when NAFTA was signed that we would hear our jobs almost suctioning sound going out of this country. And that is exactly what's happened. Now, people do claim that Obama has created jobs under his administration. But when you look at the jobs he's created, they're lower income jobs. There may be more jobs, but they're lower income. They're not the good jobs that we used to have. And that's how they are enabling people to stay down and stay broke and stay dependent on the government so that they want the big government to help fund them. I was a single mom. From the time my boys were 3 years old, I raised them on my own. Not once did I ever go on government assistance. Not once. And I raised good kids. Yeah, I made decisions. I had to make sacrifices that I didn't exactly want to do. But I did what I had to do because I wasn't going to have my neighbors, my friends, my family, and my fellow taxpayers raising my kids. They were my choice. I raised them. And that's what I expect of everybody else. Now, granted, there are those who need government assistance. I have no problem with that. But when you become dependent on government assistance, when you keep having kids that you can't afford and you expect your neighbors and your friends and your family to raise them instead of you raising them yourself, then I have a problem with it. And as far as immigration goes, I have no problem with people coming here to have the American dream, as long as they come here the right way. They need to come here legally. This illegal immigration crap, if they come here and they have kids and they think that those kids are going to anchor them here, they need to go. Their kids need to go, they need to go, and they need to come back the right way. Now, I appeal to you, my fellow Hoosier voters, go tomorrow, go to the polls, and vote for a real change. Vote to make America great again. For the first time in our lives, as far as I can remember, as long as I can remember, and as far as back as when my grandpa was voting, this is the first time we have the opportunity to have a true outsider come in and be president and get this country back to where it needs to be. We have the opportunity to make America great again.